Hello, and welcome to Beering in Mind Beer Reviews. And we're in the middle of a series of Minoh beers, and that is from Minoh Brewery, which is located in Minoh, Osaka, Japan. It's a suburb of Osaka, in north part of Osaka, and Osaka Prefecture, and it's up against the mountains in a rather beautiful area. Minoh is famous for a waterfall, a hot spring, and for monkeys. And Minoh Brewery, they put these little monkeys on their caps, and they also have a series of monkey-themed beer names. Today's beer is the last in the series of 5 of the basic regular lineup of Minoh beers, and it is called W-IPA, and this represents double, and some friends are saying that, well, this is really silly to put a W here, of course, because it has no reference to double. It just sounds like W in Japanese. And in any case, this is what they call it. It is a double IPA. And I'll talk a little bit more about the beer in a minute, but first a little bit more about Minoh Brewery. Minoh is one of the first craft beer breweries in Japan, and certainly one of the first in the western Japan, Osaka region. The founder was a man named Oshita Masaji, and he worked in the liquor business, and at the time when the laws were revised to allow smaller companies to brew beer, or rather the amount of beer that a company had to make was revised downwards to allow small companies to make beer, not just the 4 big beer companies. He saw an opportunity there and bought a facility and told his 3 daughters that they were going to be the brewers and they're going to run the company. And they had no brewing experience at all, but rather quickly learned. For about 5 years they were working with extract malt, and the results were so-so. And in 2002 they began brewing all grain, and gradually over time began distinguishing themselves as pretty good brewers. And friends and I became aware of them quite early on, and they opened up a bar in downtown Osaka called Beer Belly, and we used to meet there and try out the latest Minoh beers. And Minoh gradually started getting better and better and more successful commercially as well. So they're now found all over Japan. If you go on Untapped and check some of their beers, you'll see that people are checking in from many parts of the country, drinking Minoh beers. The company is also well known for using a lot of local produce in their beers. For example, they have a peach Weizen, and they also use yuzu, for example, in a white ale. Yuzu, which is a Japanese citrus fruit. And in the past, they even made hemp beers. They had 2 different hemp beers a long time ago. And they make a Cabernet ale currently. So blending wine grapes into the beer. And actually, this is the beer that really got our attention so many years ago, this one. And at one time we felt that this is probably the best craft beer made in Japan. And it was, I think. And I don't know if it's just a lucky accident or what, but it was really a great beer to drink. And it, unfortunately, the quality was variable, as it is with a lot of younger craft breweries in Japan. The quality goes up and down, and this one too, as well. And so friends and I, we used to joke about how is the double IPA these days? And, it's pretty good for now, or it's not so good, or it's great. But I think they're much more consistent now, certainly with their production of this beer. Minoh Brewery also has, so they have the beer belly in a place called Tosabori, Osaka, along the river, and they also have the warehouse, which is near the brewery, and they opened up a new place in Tenmabashi. There's a rather lively district of kind of street stalls and cheap restaurants in Tenma region of Osaka, and they opened up a nice beer hall there. And that's probably the best place to sample the full variety of their beers is Tenma, and their Tenma, Beer Belly Tenma pub. The Tosabori pub has been turned into a brew pub, and they have brewing equipment in there. The last time I was there, it was still not being operated yet, but I think it probably is by now. So you can get brew pub specials there as well. So they make 5 beers in their regular lineup, and that is a Pils, Pale Ale, Weizen, a Stout, and this one, the W-IPA beer, which is a decent lineup, I think, for any brewery, and they do them all pretty well. Let's move on and talk a little bit more about this beer here. Again, this was a very special beer, and if you find it on tap, I think you should probably try it. This is called, again, W-IPA. It is a double or Imperial IPA, and it comes in at 9% alcohol. And let's see, do they include? They don't include more information about it, about the IBUs, for example. But on RateBeer, this one has 136 ratings, an average score of 3.52 out of 5, and 74 percentile for all beers on RateBeer, and 34 for its style double Imperial IPA. As you can expect, there's a lot of competition in this style, certainly, especially in the United States. So on RateBeer, this one doesn't get such a high score. I've rated this a few times. I started having it when they began producing it years and years ago. I rated it in 2012 at a beer festival, and then in 2013 I had it at Beer Belly as a real ale, served out of a cask, dry hopped as well. So, okay, so let's give this a try and see what we come up with here. Oh, one more point. On the label, you might be able to see that it is produced by AJI Beer Incorporated. That's the old name for Minoh Beer. It used to be called AJI. It's not really an acronym. They spell it like that, but with the periods after each letter, but it really refers to aji, which means flavor. Let's turn the light around on this here. Okay, so what are we seeing here? This beer has a kind of hazy reddish amber color, rather thick, maybe 2 fingers of thick, spongy, white, sort of off-white foam. A little bit of sloppy lace here, not really sticking that much. Big fat citrusy aroma. Some grapefruit, some kind of spice, flavor. Grapefruity, very juicy, chewy malt. Some pine, perhaps, in mid-palate. It has a rather warming feature from mid-palate on as it goes down. Somehow this ends up balanced. It's very big in malt and very big in hops. It's a solid beer, definitely. And this is in pretty good condition now, I think. I'd like to try this on tap sometime soon at the pub in Osaka. A little bit, palate is a little bit thick. Kind of medium, heavy. A little bit sticky, maybe. So again, this beer tends to be a little bit different each time I have it. I think maybe in their bottle range now, it's probably fairly consistent. On tap, it's been quite different throughout the years here. So this is a beer to try. It's probably maybe has been one of the best known Japanese craft beers over time. It may not be now. But it's certainly one that beer geeks in Japan always wanted to try whenever they found it. Once again, this is Minoh Beer W-IPA, a 9% double or Imperial IPA. Give it a try if you happen to see it. I do not know if these are exported to the US or other parts of the world, but you can find this in many places in Japan, in beer bars, in supermarkets perhaps. And some convenience stores even carry this as well. Okay, give it a try. Let me know what you think, and leave a comment for me. I will reply. Subscribe to the channel if you're interested in beer, especially Japanese craft beer. We'll be doing a lot more videos in the future. And you can check out the playlists. I've organized the beers into different playlists. So, for example, Japanese craft beer, or Japanese major company beers, and European beers, German, Belgian, etc. So, if you're interested in a certain type of beer, give those a look. Okay, well, that's it for today. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.